Okay. Where I'm going to start with is, this is going to be, I'm going to try and not talk is what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to do visual. This is a standard coil. Let's see.
So we're rolling now?
This is a standard coil. The grand unified field theory. Inexhaustible energy, end all diseases, produce unlimited food, travel anywhere in the universe, fusion, vortex energy, ionic acoustic levitation, gravitons, the ultimate fundamental particle in the universe, the underpinning geometry of the universe, morphogenic fields, flux thruster atom pulsar. Okay. This is what the Rodin coil, they named it after me. I had a different name for it. That's the Rodin coil. I call it the flux thruster atom pulsar, but it didn't catch on. That's my logo. Times divide plus and minus in one logo. That's because I figured out how to do all the functions of math instantly. Okay, the topic is called Point Energy Creation Physics. My company is aerodynamics. It's not the air in the atmosphere. It's the lumiferious ether, as our very informative gentleman friend Alistair was mentioning. But it's an inertia ether on top of that. It's not a static stationary ether. The conventional education and training that everyone had is they still related to kind of as like a loquacious jello. I hate calling something a loquacious jello, but you know, with jello food colors and everything else, it's not a jello, this invisible fluid. It's a pulse, it's a surge, and it has a vector, has a phasing, it has every attribute and property that we can imagine. And that's what we're going to learn about.
Are you saying it's within 3D?
It creates 3D. It is inseparable from 3D. It makes it 3D. Everybody here is representative, is Professor Glennon. Think of it as if he doesn't win your case here, then he goes home to his office and you all go to jail. He's going to represent you. Yeah, you're the representative. Will you ask the first question? What it is it's linear. It doesn't bend. The whole topic today is about the number 9. Now, number 9's been a big mystique in everything we know. Cloud 9, love potion number 9, the most great name of God equals number 9. In Baha'i scriptures, Baha is the equation for it, 2151. We'll come to that. To answer your question specifically about this energy is the only thing that comes from the whole, from zero, the vortex. It goes out linearly in all directions. Nothing can resist it. Nothing can resist it. It penetrates everything. It leaves its reticulation pattern. It leaves a grain. It animates everything. It is the source of the non-decaying spin of the electron. You take this energy away and the universe will become destitute and void. Okay?
But you can't really talk about it as linear because that's reference to 3D.
It's your z-axis. Okay? You have your vertical axis, your horizontal axis, and then you have your z-axis, which is distinct from the surface topology, okay, of the logarithmic spiral. Okay? Okay. Okay. We will cover this. This topic will reemerge, what we're addressing right now, every 2 minutes. What he just started will never be finished. We're going to tackle it from every avenue. Okay? It's going to be like a lion and we're going to grab it by the tail. Okay, so this coil is what a coil looks like. This is a standard conventional coil. It's all parasitic. These were certified results from Hewlett-Packard that I am indeed getting double the output, that our mathematics, our numbers were not false, that they were authentic. They validated it. And used millions of dollars of test equipment, and this is the Rodin coil without the parasitics as compared to a standard coil, showing that there is not resistance compared. There is not harmonic discordance. There is not friction. My whole goal is to get rid of friction, to get rid of resistance, is to make electricity synchronize. And the kind of electricity that I'm making is synchronized electricity. I'm walking here like on a boat. Okay. This is a standard coil, but I'm going to turn it into the Rodin coil. A standard coil is based on how many wraps you have around the outside. Those are called turns. And they say that determines then your magnetic output, inductance and stuff. It's totally primitive science. What I found, what they were shocked at Hewlett-Packard is nobody could even say it's because of this. They tried to make up, they said there must be some other reason. Everybody said, but they came to the conclusion, it's what I said from the beginning, it is the geometry alone of the wire that's producing all this extra magnetism. Okay? They said there would be a 20% savings in copper alone using this design for big transformers. They said even a 5% of copper would have been immense. Of course, that wasn't my goal to use alternating current. My goal was to obsolete it and get rid of it. I'm a just tear the veils down with a roaring, crashing sound kind of guy. And my goal is to replace it with a whole other type of technology, a whole other type of energy, and do it with a big noise. Okay. So how I change this coil, okay, we have two wires, okay, first of all. And this is the best we can do on ARC, so please understand. It's light, it's portable, and that's why I use these tarps. They're wonderful mediums. And yes, you can use my idea. Anytime you need to make a presentation, it only costs $7, and it sure beats a $500 sign from a retail. So, and these are, I'm using dry erase, and these other ones were permanent markers, and it's the big tip. Okay, so what I did was I had two wires. One's red, one's blue. One of them, the electricity goes out. The other one, the electricity goes in. Everyone follow me? Pretty easy? And now it's always based on thirds. It's called a binary triplet. Okay? It's real important, the fact that I'm talking about something that's binary, but it's really a binary thirds. And I know that's a mind boggler. How can that be? But I'll show you. Okay, so the third you always leave alone. It's an empty space. You don't put anything there. That's where the etheron flux magnetic field. In other words, we'll just say that's where the field occurs. Okay?
Are you doing your coil now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to turn it into my coil. Right now it's a conventional coil. See how steep the slope is? That's a normal coil. The Rodin coil, it's a very gradual type incline. See how slow it twirls in, like water in a whirlpool? Okay? It's as least acute incline as you can have in winding this coil on this using 3 parts. Any questions, Charlie?
Well, I feel pretty ignorant in asking this, but you have to have alternating current to generate that back out.
I'm using, and it's only from how I interpret my numbers. I think it's PDC, pulse direct current. To tell you the truth, though, I didn't make this coil. I'm not the electrical engineer. I am, we all know I'm the presenter today, okay? And I hate to say that I'm not the person who does all this stuff. Essentially, you, Charlie, and everyone else are going to have to be the one who's going to have to coax out of these inventions how to activate them and how to harness it. Okay, and that's what it takes in electrical engineering. You just don't go and give any electrical engineer an invention, a coil, and say, turn it on. They have to play with it. They have to finesse. They have to have a finesse to what would be a term for it? You have to massage it. Okay, you have to massage the coil. You have to work with the different type of sine waves. You have to work with the different types of voltage. A lot of people say it's not an electrical coil. They say it's a field generator coil. It's totally different than an electrical coil. Okay? And that's certainly true because the magnetic field on this coil, they've never seen a magnetic field like this. The field is not like the standard conventional coil. The field is contained in the torus, and they don't have to shield it. In the FDC, what is it, FCC? The airplanes, whatever. They're happy with these kind of coils because they don't need shielding. But the Rodin coil doesn't have its field on the inside. My coil is a total inversion type coil. All my field is evenly distributed over the surface of the coil. It's just the opposite of what the other one's doing. I think we should share names. Okay? We'll start this way, we'll come around.
Kiva.
Hi, Kiva.
Govind.
Gori.
Govind.
Govid. Hi, Govind.
Jiva.
Jiva.
Maj.
Maj.
Judy.
Judy. Charlie.
Sunshine.
Sunshine. Brian. And Marko, Herb, and Bob. Okay. Okay. Now, so in turning this into a Rodin coil, how I do it is I go from 1 to 2. Okay? So the blue wire here will go all the way across through the vortex and will go over here to connect to there. And then 2 will go to 3. It'll come out over here. It's kind of hard to tell where it comes out, so I just better go like that. It'll go like this. And then 3 will go to 4 over here. Where's 4? Right here. Okay? And it's going in spires. Okay? So, and then 1, 2, 3. And then 4 will go to 5. Is that right? Which is way over here. Now the important thing is I began at 1. I passed it on the 1, 2, on the third time around. It's already going in spires, these wires. Normal coils, they just begin, go around, and stop where they began. But what I'm doing is I'm actually building a star, okay, which is real significant. Okay. And now here's the thing. Once you pass in the spire here, and it crosses to here, this winding is at a right angle to that winding. All my fields now have a unique angle to them. And on top of it, I'm creating, though you can't see it, I do have a chart on it, an invisible polarization in between the spires where they pass each other. Okay, does everyone follow that a little bit? It's okay. I just wanted you to see this chart and just get an idea how it's wound. Now there's 2 wires, so that was the blue wire. So the red wire would have been doing the same thing, which would have been going 1, 2, and it's the space, remember, is always in between them. 3, where next? 1, 2, that wasn't 3, that was 12. Wow.
3's across from it.
3's over here. There we go. 3,
4 across from it. Connect the dots.
4, 5. Alrighty.
You got it.
Thank you.
Is that one winding, you're saying?
2. It's 2 windings.
The red and the blue are constitute one winding each. Is that what you're saying?
No. Separate circuits, separate wires, not ever to be related.
2 windings.
It's a bifilar coil. There's 2 windings. Exactly right. Just like male-female. It's a duality. Except it's really trinary because an invisible space in between them.
But the red and the blue are the 2 windings.
Exactly.
All right.
Right. And the white is the higher dimensional energy. Okay, which is going to be explaining you number 9. It's interesting?
I know, I was trying to figure out what you meant by one winding, because it's going to 3 different, going to...
It's one wire that eventually comes around. Now we're going to look at an easier chart. So we'll look at a chart that depicts it a little bit easier. Okay. Let's see if I have where that chart is. Here it is. Okay. So the chart that depicts that a little is this one right here. This is one winding, this is the other winding, and the space is always represented by 3, 9, 6. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 3 and 3 is 6. So the dotted line is always 3s and 6. 3, it's going 3, 6. Anything that's a multiple of 3 you leave alone. Okay? So here's the windings, and a half. So 1 goes to here, to here, to here. Here's your right angle. 1 and 10 are right angles to one another, which was the third one. 1, 2, 3. Now we're on the 4th. Everyone follow that? And this is 1 wire, this is 2 wire, but I have to separate them because when you look at this, you can't tell that there's 2 together. Okay. This is the construct for perfection for everything in the universe is based on that, which you will know shortly. They also use this to produce fusion. This is a fusion reactor. And I call one the right doubling circuit, one the left doubling circuit, the winding schematic for inexhaustible energy. I call the primal point of unity is the hole right here where the emanation's coming out of. Number of permutations defining the invisible. And that's what we're going to be learning is number of permutations, how they work. Okay? Can everyone see that real well? Yeah? Okay. Now, I might tell you that the reason I'm explaining it to you in such a technical fashion right now is because I needed some variation in how I've been presenting it mathematically. So this is kind of like my change of theme for me. So this is a whole different. So I'm instead explaining it to you now this way because the other day I've been explaining in schools and I've been doing it mostly mathematically. But okay, so here's my flyer on where I give classes. That's been at the Manoa Innovation Center. I give them at many different places. These are the topics. Jane gave me a beautiful flyer. It's in the shape of a pyramid. All my friends who helped me on this, it's all been a free gift. They donate their time and help. I'm very blessed for that because otherwise I would not even be around. I'd be sleeping on a shipwrecked beach someplace. Now don't laugh. This is from my homepage. Okay. And this is that's my homepage number, rodin.org. These are my letters, correspondences, web and page mail, articles, scientific results. We haven't gotten hardly anything up there yet, but we'll have it up there in about 30 days. We've got pictures up there so far. I, Marko Rodin, do declare with witnesses present that I am hereby giving to the world to use my complete work, aerodynamics, the dandelion puff principle, point energy creation physics, in return for one third of the gross of all income derived therefrom. This is to be based upon the honor system with no legal recourse by either and all parties concerned. Everything shall be voluntary. Thus my copyright and intellectual property is now placed in the trust of the public domain. May all of mankind profit therefrom. Further, it is my will that any money derived therefrom shall be used to print and disseminate the hidden words of Baha'i sacred scriptures. Much aloha. And that's for me, and those are my fingerprints. And this is when I started making the coil correctly, because I'm making it out of a plasma gas. This says, paid $100 for a prototype flux thruster atom pulsar Rodin coil made out of glass tubes and argon gas to be hand-blown by George Glasser. Would you believe that his last name is Glasser? From time immemorial, they've been blowing glass from Germany. He escaped out of Germany in I think it was 85. If he just hung in there a little longer, he could have walked out. And he didn't tunnel out or anything. They actually threw him out. It's interesting because they threw him out because of the fact that they put him in jail for a year, and when it was time to release him, he said he was going to tell them how bad the system was and stuff, and he was just such an outspoken guy, they just threw him out, which was, I guess it was easier than fighting him any longer. So, and his family's from time immemorial been blowing glass. Okay. This is, let's see. This is some of my places where I've taught. Airspace America, George Bush was the master of ceremonies. There was 30 congressmen pregnant was like it. They all had...
Freudian slip.
Well, I was just going to say, they all had red jackets and black ties. It wasn't really all that pretty, really. And I had like my own huge dining room table. It was just hard work, and nobody understood a thing anyway. But they said I had the most revolutionary propulsion system ever created. And they stuck me with Boeing Electronics. General Atomics is right here, who work in fusion. Well, I decided I'd better do my work in DNA, which was my goal. So I actually, as you are going about to learn about DNA, figured out the secret of DNA. And so I published at the biggest genetic engineering conference in the world. This is the most heavily attended in the world. These are all doctors with PhD. Here's senior research scientist. Here's another doctor, VP, process development. And here's me. I should have been at some title. I guess we'll call me resident, I guess, what? Tell me. Resident mind jogger or whatever. Mind jogger. And then the response to my work here went to the German Journal of Oncology, which studies cancer, said my work's of extreme importance. To me, your conclusions are very likely. I recommend your paper for publication in the German Journal of Oncology. Please keep me informed of your further work. Sincerely, Dr. Hanze Niedberg. That was very flattering. I expect people to endorse my work. I'll tell you something, though. I get huge endorsements. The number one. I can teach anywhere in the world I want. But the higher the endorsements, they understand very, very little of my work. Very little. But they immediately they've had certain experiences in their life over their 10, 20, 30, 40 years in their profession. And as soon as they see the work and they look at it, it makes a connection of something happened 10 years ago. Like the president of an organization, Bob Ulick, said, I had the most detail and quality ever done on Torah. It's the best he ever saw. Then he goes on and tells me about the story about how this man was working on the same thing. The military held him captive, and he had to actually climb over the fence to get out of that compound. All these weird things. But I get all these incredible compliments. But do they really understand my work? No, they don't. And that's what my goal is. Okay, my goal is not... I went here to get my work understood, not to get these endorsements. I started at the top because I thought it would be the easiest. Okay, actually, the easiest is educating you. I learned a lesson. And it's you who's going to have to figure out how everyone else is going to learn this. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, the first thing next I'm going to do is put these over here. Put this here. Here's our good old multiplication table. And I hope I don't do anything wrong. I'm going to try to take down our coil. So here's a side view of the coil. Here's the emanations coming out. These green arrows emanations are the focal center. It is spirit. It is what Charlie asked about, which was, what was your question earlier again, Charlie? What is the 9, the z-axis?
Yeah. It was when you talk about linearity, you were implying 3D because that's really a metaphor in the 3D system.
Right.
And
Linearity. Linearity creates 3D. Okay? In other words, when the ivy vines are crawling in the jungle, okay, and everything's warped and curved, they have to have a substrate. They have to have something linear to wrap around, which is the tree limbs and branches. Okay? We'll come back to that again. Okay. So, I guess my assistant can help me here. Uh-oh. Now, Sunshine's a Baha'i, which is a religion. I'm of that same religion. And because I never undertalk an audience, that is the most great name of God. That is a symbol. That's God's petroglyph. In other words, while we were all doing our own petroglyph stuff, God was doing his too. Okay? And what was the purpose of our petroglyphs? But to essentially find the supreme, the most great being. All coherent intelligence, perfect brainwaves, as Spock would say. So, let's keep me from talking. We'll just start. I take a number, archetypal value. I say 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 4 times 4 is 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. Everyone get that? It's very important for your math children, Judy. Okay. I then have another column of 4s over here, but I don't have these numbers. I have other funny numbers. Like 36 down here, I have a 9. Now where did that 9 come from? I casted out 9s. It also can be called cross addition, horizontal math, or summing. So I said 3 plus 6 equals 9. Okay? 3 plus 2. I found it's easier for you to understand by going backwards in 4s. So instead of starting down like this, I'm going backwards. It's really easy when you do things backwards sometimes. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. Right? So I have a 5 now. 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. 24 is 6. 20 is 2. 16 is 7. 12 is 3. 8 is 8. And 4 is 4. So what I've done is I've archetypal value. It's hard to say word. Okay? Over here I'm calling it quantum numerology. Course 45, it still equals 9. That's not by accident. Here we have 40 is 4. 35 is 8. 30 is 3. 25 is 7. And here I'm saying telltale numbers. Hope Edgar Allan Poe doesn't sue me for this. Taking his title. And I actually take the multiplication table and reduced it from standard multiplication table to a very simple multiplication table. I call it a kid's multiplication table. Okay. Here I say 0 is not a member of any multiplication series. Here I'm saying preferred frame of reference explained through number patterns. A little too deep right now. I also say time and frequency, too deep right now. We were talking about time before we started. And we used to think of Leon Russell as the master of time, space, and reality. And what I have done is I've actually got a hands-on grip of time. Okay? Time to me is a phasing, a sequence order, is what Charlie is referring to as, how do we say it again, the invisible energy? The linearity. Our world of time does not have any linearity. We try to think in time as a continuous sequence that's a straight line. Time is not straight in our physical world of mass. That's why I have so much trouble functioning as human beings, because in our mind, time is straight. In the higher dimensions which our mind occupies, time is straight. Time follows a logarithmic spiral of infinity, and this is the pathway that time takes. Okay? And this chart is going to explain time. Okay, so let's follow the pathway of time. We have a circle. This is supposed to be round. Unfortunately, though, it was very hard for me to make round. So it doesn't look round, but it is. It's called the circle of life. It would more correctly look like this. I guess I can probably set it over here.
What's the shape of the Tibetan endless knot?
You guys speak real loud.
Is the shape of the Tibetan endless knot? It's the eternal interconnectedness bond.
You know that shape?
It's actually more like the shape, that one.
But that knot theory and knots and how women do their knots in their hairs in certain cultures and all different things, you're right, it's exactly this field. It's also called forget what it's called. It has to do with Klein bottles. What's it called?
Mobius strip.
Mobius strip, but there's a word for
Well,
it.
lemniscate, too, the idea of the symbol for infinity is very much like that, only it's round.
You gotta speak loud. Lemna?
The lemniscate is what we always see as infinity, which is rounded. If you take the corners out of that, that's the lemniscate.
And when I brought back
It's a
in,
symbol of infinity.
what my contribution is, I brought in the intersection points. I brought in the matrix to it, so we can have, it's called the underpinning geometry of the universe. It's real important, because if you can have a lattice structure, which is what this is showing, interferometry pattern, see how it gets bigger and smaller, they're little whole screens, but they make bigger patterns when they overlap and stuff, then you can actually scale it from microscopic to macroscopic to infinity. It's called fractals, or self-similar growth, recursive scrolling. Is essentially this Moiré pattern. It's the secret of how everything works. This circle, this shape in here and the corners and stuff is what I want you to be experts on. We have three elements. We have the infinity symbol, the lazy 8. We have the green element, which is the pyramid, let's say. It does not connect on the base. It connects at the top. That's very important because it's a vector. And we have the gold right here, which is the emanation coming out of the center, okay, which is the primal point of unity. It's 0, where, and when. Why do I call this Easter eggs? Why do I call it cookie crumbs? And why do I say, well, the bounded infinity is what this is? Numbers are real. Because I'm about to show you, when we do a computer program, the programmers leave us little messages, if we are lucky enough to find them. God left us big messages. Okay? These are what are called his signs and attributes. Okay? Everyone still with me? Okay. So, we count on the circumference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? But as I already said, time on the third dimension moves in a spiral, and it does not move linearly. So I'm going to show you, and everything starts from the inside out in creation. Everything inside out arose inside out. So we're going to now stick on time, though, and we're going to follow the pathway of time in our physical world, third dimension, curving, warped universe. Number one, we have no trouble with. One God, one universe. What does it do? It doubles to 2. What does 2 do? It doubles to 4. Well, that's definitely how things work in our universe. We have 4 cells, 8 cells in conception when we're conceived. Then we have 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. No trouble? Okay. Now 4 doubled and becomes 8. Okay? And 8 doubles and becomes 16. Okay? Now these charts I'm covering up, we're going to be coming back to, so you don't have to be concerned if you didn't see all the information. I'm going to actually reverse my path as well. So sure enough, I went 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. But on our circle here, we still have a 7. You see our 7 over here? Okay? Now, where did I get that 7 from? I said 1 plus 6 equals 7. No problem? As Alistair said, he said, like I'm going to repeat this. What did he say? Numerology is the something, something, something?
Yeah, what did it say?
I forget what he said.
Yeah. Isn't that the problem with life? We hear all this great stuff and...
That's why we have this.
Right.
It's also interesting, though, the casting out 9. So another way to think of that is that it's the remainder. When you divide 9 into 16, you get 7. It's the remainder. It's how many you've gone over.
Say it one more time.
If you divide 9 into 16, you get 1 and 7 left over, right?
Yeah, taking a mod.
Right. You're doing mod 9 arithmetic, actually, with this
Wait,
casting out 9.
16 divided by 9 equals what?
Equals 1 with remainder 7. Right?
No, it can't be.
Oh, yeah.
Because 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7.
Right.
Oh,
so you're
one
looking at the
remainder,
remainder.
7?
You're looking at the remainder. Another way to look at what you're doing is to look at the remainder.
Oh.
This is casting out 9s. You're casting out how many times 9 went into it, and you're looking at the number that's left over. So it's as if we say 12 o'clock, then we say 1 o'clock instead of 13 o'clock, because we're starting from 0 over again.
Yeah, we're going, just like you said, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this is 10.
Yeah.
1 plus 0 is 1,
It's the
11, 1 and 1 is 2.
After you divide 9 into 10, you get 1 left over. So it's the excess of going around the clock once.
Well, Barney's going to be very thankful. He's our host, and we've been trying to get somebody to explain it clearly, and he just did it for us.
Yeah, so when you're dividing, it turns out that you can just add the numbers, the digits together, and do your mod 9 arithmetic that way.
By adding them together?
By adding 1 and 6, you get the same as if you divided
Right.
9 into 16 and you look at the remainder. It works. I mean, and it's not too hard to show that either,
Right.
mathematically.
Right. And you just did it real well. Thank you. So the reason I'm reducing these to single-digit numbers for you, everybody, is because I'm going to show you how to look at time. I could explain it more, but I'm going to be short words. So 16 doubled is 32. And I really mean see time. When I say look, everything I'm saying, I mean literally. And 3 plus 2 is 5. Everyone following that? This is a steel rail. You must stay on it. It's a train track. You can't go off it. Okay? Now 32 doubled is 64. And 6 and 4 is 10 is 1. Back to 1. 128, 11, 2. 256, 13, 4. 5, 12, 8. 1024, 7. Etc. It'll go on infinitely, of course. Everyone follow that? Okay. Remember, I'm trying to show you how from the inside it crosses the axis, that it's very important that I'm trying to show you there's something inside it. There's something in the middle. Okay? No one's ever been able to see this inside the middle before. Okay? Okay. Now, assistant Judy, please. Assistant Judy, please. I need the Easter eggs. Would you please, while I'm explaining this, take out one Easter egg, any one you want, and put it right where it belongs. Okay. There you have it. Okay. Goes together, right? You guys like Easter eggs? Yeah?
Any holes inside?
Huh? There's nothing in them. I've been trying for weeks to figure out what to put in them. I can't figure out. Oh, crystals. There we go. Put crystals in them. That's a good recommendation. Okay, I just flipped the chart. Oops, too soon for this one. It's okay that you saw it, though. No point in having your mind race ahead, though, because the secret is we got to be calm, cool, and collected. Then we can assimilate better. As relaxed as we can be, and as comfortable as we can be. Isn't that relaxing? Okay, here we have, going backwards, we see that the 1 connects to the 5. Okay? So we're going to go backwards instead. So a half of 1 is 0.5. A half of 0.5, okay, there's a 5 matching a 5. Then a half of 0.5 is 0.25. But 2 plus 5 equals 7. This is where it starts to suddenly hit home that you see that I really am meaning perfection when I say perfection. And what does perfection mean in your life? This is when it starts getting personal to you. And when you start taking it internally. Okay, so now 0.25 is a 0.5 is a half of 0.25, and 0.25, half of that is 0.125. Well, 1 plus 2 plus 5 equals an 8, still. These numbers are never changing, they're never moving. A half of 0.125 equals 0.0625, which equals 13, which equals 4. Half of 0.0625 equals 0.03125, which equals 11, which equals 2. Equals 0.01625 if we half it is again, which is 1. And I can't say the numbers after that. I'm not going to try because it's just too long. Does everyone understand that so far? All I was doing was happening? Our end goal is to explain eternity, because eternity is that linearity. This emanation is eternal. It's the light of eternity. And that's we talk about in our aura, We talk about it in the radiance of good health. We call it prana, chi, orgone, spirit. Indians have many names for it.
That's timeless, though, isn't it?
No.
Or at least it's timeless in this. Well, I'm picturing it this way. Correct me, please. I picture it as.
Actually, I was
coming
wrong
out
for
of-
saying
out
no.
of the out of the plane of the circuit of time. It comes as a perpendicular, and its intersection with the time is what we're seeing there. But it actually comes perpendicularly out. Okay, so. In that sense, it's dimensionless only except when it intersects the...
Totally correct.
Yeah.
Pretty heavy duty, huh?
Yeah.
I call it
So
omnidimensional.
that's why I say it's hard to talk about linearity, because we think of linearity in three dimensions, and it's really out of the dimension of 3D. It's
I suffered walking down the halls of UCLA. They say, well, you should be going to linear science. I go to the professors of linear science, and they don't, everything is curvature. And I'm saying, what's going on here? They don't even use the term.
But we're still modeling that in terms of what we see every day. We're using models, and it's very hard to depict that because it's beyond our perception.
I was like 17 or 18, and I just said, the name on the door doesn't match in the science building with the math department. When they're saying linear science, linear mathematics, I said, where's the linear?
Yes, but they're talking about something different.
Totally. Yeah. What he just said was that this energy going out is omnidimensional. The only thing that we can have for an analogy for it is the queen on a chessboard. You know, the old king, he's really straddled, just one little step at a time. He's definitely hindered, okay? But, or a duke, or a king, or a castle, they move certain ways. But the queen can move diagonally, she can move horizontally, vertically, she can move any way she wants. She defines the whole game. She's our most prized piece in the game of chess. Okay. Yes, Judy?
I don't know if it's appropriate to say this, but in my mind, God and man, and then the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God is this. The energy or action or the life that we have from God that connects us is the Spirit of God. If you want to go with that word, the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it.
Spirit is fine.
But
If you want to be fancy, you can call it a theta particle, tachyon, why not? Graviton,
so is
monopole is fine.
what that is?
Hmm?
That what that is?
That's what that is. It is the glue that holds the universe together. Sometimes you call it, you know what you can call it? Sometimes people call it love.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's the it's the observer in the subatomic.
It's omnipotent, omniscient, all-observing. It is God's neurons. It is how He is seeing us, no matter what we're doing at all times, in all places, all the time. It's how He keeps us on a leash, too. But that's a little heavy duty.
Right. And it can be the little voice.
And it can be what?
The little voice. You know, the teacher, the witness that we are, that we have a witness that
That's right. Everything we do is inscribed in chrysolite because of it. That's right. There is, just like in Zardoz, everything that people did had a little crystal going through their brain and it was preserved. And when their body died, they were just reinvented. And if they'd broken any of the laws, they just aged them. And if they were really bad, they were banished to the endless old people's ballroom. You remember that?
no.
Yeah. What is that?
An old movie?
No one knows Zardoz?
Is that a
Well, I lived in Beverly Hills, and it got to the point, what can you do? And they're always looking for unusual things there. And so Sean Connery played the lead, came out. He was a super advanced. He was done genetically engineered to an advanced being. This advanced civilization of mankind. One of them was broken the laws. They all wanted to die because this crystal was preserving everything they were. So he invented this most advanced man on the planet. So he would kill them all and destroy their civilization so he could die, because everything was always preserved. So Sean Connery played this being that had total